the most unforgettable yet unfortunately left behind protagonist in all of platforming history. He's nothing groundbreaking or new like, say, Donkey Kong Country or Sonic, but he is the epitome of platforming, challenge, and a truly animated world.
I'm talking, of course, about the limbless hero whose commercials gave me nightmares as a kid. That's right, I'm talking about Rayman, specifically the first Rayman. This game had so much personality going for it. The 2D pixel graphics popped with very bright visuals, especially the particle effects when you collect the game's tings. That always mesmerized me. And the music god Remy Gansel blew us away with the funky synthetic tunes paired so perfectly with the zany, cartoony nature of Rayman. So, why wasn't it put up on a pedestal like successful predecessors before it? Well, in my opinion, it comes down to difficulty. After the first few levels, Rayman 1 becomes exceptionally brutal, especially for young kids like me back in the day. Mix that difficulty spike with 6 worlds, 18 levels, with only 5 continues, it's no wonder what a wonderful surprise Rayman Redemption turned out to be. A fan remake like no other. Developed by Rayman, Rayman Redemption is a fantastic reimagination of the original game from 1995. Seriously though, this fan remake takes any and all complaints of the original and completely steamrolls most of the issues I had with the original game. From really fun and exciting new worlds to just adjusting some simple quality of life updates. Before you begin your journey, Rayman already introduces a simple but huge fix to the difficulty spikes of the game, giving you, the player, difficulty options. One is a casual mode with infinite lives, while the other, classic mode, is truer, more to the source material. Lives are limited, 1-up statues grant lives, and you can get a game over. However, I did notice that the original continue clock was cut from the remake, which I think is a needed cut considering in the original there was no way to gain additional continues. And once you hit 0, that's it, you're booted to your previous save file. However, Rayman seems to enjoy the masochist nature of the original Rayman and also included an even harder difficulty. Demise. 1-up statues and big power-ups are rigged. Save points are gone and you start with less health. Needless to say, I settled for the more tamed classic difficulty as I felt this would give me the best experience overall with the remake. The story starts off by asking, "You wanna know what's going on?" The magician depicts a not too complicated plot. Everything's all good because this being called the Great Protoon is keeping the balance of this peaceful world. And then the evil antagonist, Mr. Dark, steals this Great Protoon and defeats its defender, Batilla the Fairy, scattering these little electoons that used to gravitate around it, sending the world in disarray. Now, it's up to you to defeat Mr. Dark, save the Protoon and electoons, and bring the world back to harmony. Protoons, electoons,
I can't believe this never hit me before. They essentially split an atom bomb. Wow. All right.
You already begin with all of your power-ups, unlike the original where running, ledge grabbing, and helicopter hair were abilities unlocked by Batilla the Fairy as you progress through the game. At first, I thought this was gonna hurt the pacing and maybe allow for some game-breaking moments in the first few levels, but no, I was wrong. In fact, I felt the levels were already really tailored to allow you to explore all of your abilities that you were meant to unlock much later. It was really nice to be able to breeze through. Speaking of really nice and convenient things, Rayman finally gave us some indicators for power-ups. S-Fist power-up, representing how much farther we can now shoot our fist, and the Gold Fist power-up that is not only indicated by the new icon, or how your golden fist shows up when throwing a punch in the original, but now, Rayman's hands are gold. Neat. Immediately I noticed the running animation was altered to remove the slow to a stop you find in the original. However, the skirt you hear when changing directions can get a little annoying. If there are any future updates, this should be changed, or removed like the helicopter noise that was replaced with the soundbite from Rayman 2. Throughout the game, Rayman creates extras in the world map. The first one is Magician's Challenges, which allow the player to replay some levels under a time trial if you're looking for an additional challenge. Next, we have Batilla's Garden. Now, instead of giving you power-ups throughout the progression of the game, she gives you additional life point upgrades depending on how many Electoon cages you have freed, from 10, 30, and 164. And if you have already played through a couple levels, you should have noticed your ting counter has gone past 100, but you did not gain an extra life like in the original. In Redemption, you have access to the shop, where you can purchase lives, power-ups, and skins. I especially love this purple skin specifically. It's a cool callback to Ubisoft's prototype to Rayman 2, Tonic Trouble, which was developed so the studio could gain experience working with 3D graphics during the 3D transition in video games in the 90s. But I digress. You also have Joe's shop that can help you find additional secrets in the game. If you're feeling a little saucy, Rayman even included a casino to try your luck at additional things. However, there may be times where buying additional power-ups and 1-ups might seem a bit redundant. I mean, there are P-ups and 1-up statues everywhere. I believe the difficulty choice of the game will lead to the player's satisfactory of this 1-up and P-up saturation, but I also feel Demise difficulty would take advantage the most out of Rayman's decision to include so many additional power-ups and 1-up statues in the game. Additional characters is something this fan remake is not lacking. I feel the mini-boss Darktoon was the coolest addition. Serving as a quirky mini-boss throughout your progression of the game, his mechanics were not that difficult, and the hardest was probably going through the Molten Depths. However, I think it was a clever way to set up an understanding of the slew of abilities you're going to have to face when encountering Mr. Dark. Besides that, completely new characters such as paintbrushes, chess pieces, and trains were so close to the actual source material, I actually thought maybe they were part of the original. But no, these new characters are part of a completely new world, Playtopia, which had by far the coolest mechanic, Paint Fist. Creating platforms using your fists with paint really highlights the theme of your surrounding area. Mr. Dark was something I find almost synonymous with torture. I won't get too much into it to prevent spoilers, but man, the final boss does spike in difficulty like crazy. Finally, I want to go over 2 things regarding your playthrough of Rayman Redemption. If you've already played Rayman 1, great. Play Rayman Redemption immediately and you won't regret it. If you haven't played the original Rayman 1, don't worry about playing the original. Albeit a classic, Rayman Redemption just simply offers a better experience at a tailored difficulty to your liking. If you're still curious, play the original after. You will immediately tell which game is a definitive way to play.
Overall, this fan-made game was something done of literal dreams. I couldn't imagine Ubisoft recreating something this genuine. This is the definitive version to play Rayman 1. Now, if you don't mind, I want to play everything again in Demise difficulty. It's been 5 hours, I only beat the first level.